Welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show on iHeart Radio. Coming up, yes, he's here with us live and in living color, Jack Nerad and the California Report, among other automotive things. Plus, we have the events calendar and the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars, the fabulous and effervescent King Conrad DeLong.
Sorry, it was something I ate.
I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday. Jeff Zekin is out. He will be back with us next week and joining us at Houston Raceway Park for the NHRA Spring Nationals. Glad you could join us today. And speaking of joining us right now, ladies and gentlemen, from the left coast, it's Jack Nerad. Hi, Jack.
Hi, always great to join you.
Well,
a real pleasure.
Well, thank you, and it's an honor to have you with us as always. What's the price of gas this week?
About $6.
$6. Well,
yeah.
Is it kind of
gone down a little bit?
But it's kind of stabilized.
Yeah, stabilized. Between 5, 6. Some places 7.
Yeah,
Depends on where you're getting your gas.
I think I paid $3.59 yesterday.
Yeah.
Well,
we're not rubbing. Yeah, we're not rubbing it in. We're just comparing. That's all. So, how have you been? What have you been doing? What are you driving? What's exciting?
I've been driving a lot, actually. I've been driving a lot of vehicles that I would say kind of the neo off-roaders that we're getting now. I was spending a lot of time in the 4Runner TRD Pro the last week.
Cool car.
I'm writing about the Ford Explorer Timberline. We're seeing a lot of those things that at least kind of have a sense of being off-roaders. Certainly the TRD Pro is an off-roader. I think the Explorer Timberline would like to aspire to that. And, then I've been driving the Grand Cherokee Trailhawk and some pretty cool stuff, actually.
Did you go to the New York Auto Show?
I did not. There wasn't really enough to drag me there. There were some interesting things, I think. There was the Kia Niro was introduced, was one of the things that was introduced. Lucid was talking about their 1,000 horsepower cars. So that got a lot of play, but there wasn't enough to make me fly across the country for a day.
What do you think about Lucid and some of the other upstart EV makers, renegades, if you want to call them? What do you think about them? Do you think that they are actually viable and that are they going to make it?
It's hard to say. It depends really on how they're funded and what their business model is. I've driven the Lucid Air. It's amazing, beyond amazing. You have to ask the question, do you need 1,000 horsepower in your luxury sedan, your midsize luxury sedan? Probably not. You probably don't need to go from 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds.
But you can.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know that there are enough buyers for these $180,000 cars to make this viable. Heck, I don't even know if we know that Tesla is really viable, right? So I question the upstarts. I think there's a lot of sorting out going to happen because you've got the major manufacturers with all that infrastructure selling EVs. They don't want to give anything up. So I think it's going to be really tough for the upstarts.
Do you think that it's a bad thing that these actually very well heeled car manufacturers, Ford, Chevrolet, Chrysler, and Honda, all of them, that they're sinking billions and billions of dollars in EV, and my feeling is that it's just not going to happen as fast as they're spending the money.
It might happen that fast only because they're spending the money, Don. I don't see any other reason why that would happen. And, maybe they know something we don't know because we know from driving these vehicles the limitations. I'll give you a perfect example. I was going to drive to Central California last weekend. I had the chance to do it in an EV, and I said, is there some other vehicle I could have
that'll get me there?
Just because I didn't want to deal with the charging infrastructure, an unknown charging infrastructure 200 or 300 miles away. And I wasn't going that far. I was going literally 200 miles. So I think all of us, probably all of you guys at that table, and I certainly love to make a 500, 600, sometimes 700 mile day of it. You're going to have a difficult time doing that in any EV. Maybe the Lucid Air.
Don't want a dead battery on the top of the grapevine.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to get down to 15 or 20 miles of range and be scratching your head, is there going to be a charger available for me?
Right.
Then I can get this thing done. I think a lot of us, time is money, and we don't want to spend a lot of time charging vehicles when we could gas up in 5 minutes and off we go.
Well, I find it interesting, and I don't know how it is out there in California, but here, anyway, in our press fleets, that there are numerous press fleets, but mostly out of Dallas, that they bring us the cars. We're not getting a whole lot of EVs currently. I mean, the last one that I had was the Kia Niro, and I had a zero tolerance for the Niro because I could not get any juice out of my 110-volt electricity here at the front of the house that I could plug the car up to. It'd taken 4 days to get up to an 80% charge, where I had to go down here to Whole Foods and plug it in, and even after an hour, I got 80% charge. And that's my biggest problem with it.
Well, and that's one of the issues with the larger range now. It takes a lot longer to get a full charge.
Right,
I mean,
right.
if your range is 100 miles, you can maybe charge overnight on home current and you're okay. At least you have a full charge. You have a full charge of 100 miles. If you have a vehicle like I have out front here, I've got a Volvo XC40 Recharge in the front driveway right now. It would probably take me a really long time, 18 hours or so, I would guess, to get a full charge of 200 some miles.
And as the power goes up, you talked about the Lucid. As the power goes up and the battery packs have to have more power available for the vehicle, now you're talking 200, 300, 400 kilovolt systems. That's going to take a long time to charge at 110, or it's going to still take a while to charge at 220. You're going to need a 440 charger to put a fast charge.
So where are you going to go and charge this vehicle? I assume you're going to have it for a week?
I am going to have it for a week, and I might really conserve the 200 miles of range. I live in a place where there are some chargers fairly nearby, some public chargers fairly nearby, that I can get a level 2 charge. Not necessarily a fast charge, but a level 2 charge into this. So I might do that depending upon where we do it. A lot of time, I've driven a lot of EVs, but typically I kind of spare the range, right? I don't drive a whole ton. Just because I don't want to deal with the charging aspects of it.
So you haven't got an adapter to plug into your dryer outlet to go outside to give you.
It would probably
charge.
cost me about $1,500 to wire my 220 into my garage. We have a laundry room in the middle of the house, so I'd have to do some pretty serious amount of electrical work. Way beyond my capabilities, that's for certain.
Oh, yeah.
That would allow that to happen. I probably will get that done at some point because it seems inevitable that we're going to have more cars to test. Whether more people are going to buy them is not necessarily as inevitable as the cars to test. But as of now, I have not done that.
So, Jack, in your estimation, what is the state of the automobile industry with the shortages still ongoing with the chips and now the rising price of gasoline and the
componentry
and the cost of used cars, and now they're tacking on additional charges on new cars, on some of the new cars.
Yeah.
What do you think about all of that?
It's really crazy times. You guys all know that. I mean, when you have used cars increasing in value, that doesn't happen much. Maybe one or two specialty cars, but that basically does not happen. I think I saw some J.D. Power figures that the typical new car is going at well over sticker. About 65-70% of vehicles are going for over sticker price, over MSRP. That kind of never happens. When you drive by dealerships, they don't have any inventory, or many of them have very little inventory, and they're trying to entice you with used cars if they can. So this is a really wild time where we have still a great deal of demand, and yet we don't have supply. I mean, it's one of the strangest kind of car markets I've ever seen, and I've been observing this industry for 40 years or so now.
So let me ask you this, and I'm just going to divert just a little bit and talk about the port out there in L.A. And is the backup still as bad as the news stories had it 6 weeks ago?
No, it's not. I would that it were in some ways, because we'd be getting more stock. We'd be getting more vehicles out here. We don't have the freighters anchored out the way they were before Christmas time. They've moved that, and that's starting to change pretty radically. But at the same time, we're just not getting the supply of vehicles, and it still has to be chips. And there are areas in the world, of course, we see what's happening in Shanghai and all that. I mean, total lockdown, very, very difficult time. So to the extent that we're dependent, the auto industry is dependent on other countries for parts, we're in trouble.
Yeah. So you don't see all of this shortage easing up anytime soon?
I think it's going to last throughout the year. I mean, I think most people who are observers of the industry and are checking on just the infrastructure and the supply of parts to auto industry are saying this is going to go at least through the end of 2022. And we'll have to see what the economy does in 2023. If we are looking at, possible recession, that obviously would ease demand somewhat. Yeah. That's probably the last thing we want. I'd much rather have a vibrant economy with plenty of supply.
What do you see as far as the automobile industry is concerned with new product that's coming onto market?
Well, there is the obsession, and you guys have talked about it, and you're absolutely right, with EVs, which is still maybe 4% of new cars sold, something like that, 4 or 5% of new cars sold. Yet that's getting all the headlines, that gets all the attention. I think there are ways to look at EVs before you jump into the pool in the deep end and buy yourself an EV. I think a lot of people now are looking at EVs, and I get a lot of questions about it. What EV should I buy? And the first thing I come back with is, are you sure you want to buy an EV? I think a great way to try an EV, and I think maybe you just talked about this, is to get a plug-in hybrid, have a plug-in hybrid and drive it as an EV, which you can. You can also plug it in, get about 50 miles of range very often and drive it around like an EV. But when you need more range than that, the gas motor kicks in, off you go, as opposed to what do you do when you get 3 miles of range left and you don't know where to charge the thing?
Yeah, that is a major problem.
It's if you want to own an EV, or that question comes up, my first thing is, what are you doing with it? Because if you're just taking the kids to school and driving around town in soccer, yeah, that's fine. But if you're driving to Dallas, no, that ain't going to happen.
And I'm curious if you live in a pickup truck hotbed, of course, and we're seeing all these electric pickup trucks come to market. And I scratch my head and go, who's going to buy all of these electric pickup trucks when they don't have the capability of a pickup truck, of a typical pickup truck, a conventional pickup truck, and they're a lot more expensive. I mean, way more expensive. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I rarely see a pickup truck being used as a pickup truck and the things that it's
as
used
a work
for.
Truck, right?
Yeah, it's more, I guess, a status symbol, because I see regular folks driving a pickup truck that really maybe they'll go and buy a 2x4 at the Home Depot once every 6 months, where they could actually use the length of the pickup truck bed to put it in. But other than that, I don't see people.
It's a family mode of transportation.
Well, and over in my part of the world, there is some soccer moms that'll drive them, but they're mainly driving the Suburbans and stuff. But there's just I'm kind of a little different part of the world over there. Almost every truck I see is somebody is using it for something. Either they're towing something or they're set up to tow something. They may not tow all the time. It may be the horses on the weekend or feed or something like that. Yeah. But it's a little more rural over there than what it is here.
Well, I know. I just got a new Toyota Tundra to drive. I'm sure that you've driven one. It is a huge vehicle, and it feels heavy to me. And I haven't experienced the gas mileage thing just yet. I've only had it since Thursday, but I would imagine that a whole lot has not been done as far as the V8 that is in it, as far as gas mileage is concerned. I don't know, Jack. I wonder sometimes the the whole idea of a $60,000 pickup truck not being used as a pickup truck. I think if I were going to have $60,000 to spend, for me, I would much rather have a really nice sedan or something, maybe a nice SUV, an SUV hybrid, something that I could use, drive wherever I wanted to, take the family, haul stuff in the back. It just seems to me that that would be the way to go.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think Toyota has gone to turbocharging V6s in their Tundra too. So, that's an attempt there for better fuel economy. But overall, I don't understand these electric pickup trucks that we're going to see from virtually all the manufacturers. I'm going to drive the Ford Lightning pretty quickly here. And they have probably 1,000 pounds of batteries in them from the get-go. I mean, and that's 1,000 pounds that you can't haul, 1,000 pounds that you're actually hauling around all the time.
And 250, 300 kilowatts of power in those 1,000 pounds of batteries that are going to take a hot charge to get functional. You're not going to be able to charge that kind of battery power you can at a 110, but it's going to take you 2 weeks.
So with Elon Musk moving here, I have to ask you the question, you have plans to move to Austin anytime soon?
Probably not Austin, but maybe Texas.
Okay, there you go. Well, come on.
Well, I had two daughters who went to school in Texas, so we've got a lot of connections with Texas, and I love Texas.
And didn't Newsom just announce a no more internal combustion engines as of a certain date in the future in California?
I mean, that's a typical political thing to do. He'll be long out of office. Hopefully he'll be out of office in a year or so.
I don't know. You had a chance to get rid of him last year and you didn't.
But we shall see. It's easy to announce these things that you don't have to be accountable for 10 or 15 years in the future when that doesn't happen.
Right.
I can't see that it would. But these are the kind of things that are scary to manufacturers, and manufacturers have to wonder, how do I respond to that? Mm-hmm. If I can't sell my conventional vehicles without selling a significant portion, or maybe, a majority of electric vehicles, it changes everything, and it just kind of messes with the whole industry. Really.
Well, to me, that's the whole thing about all this and all the talk about it. This is not consumer driven. I mean, like the manufacturers are not making improvements because this is what the market wants so they can sell their vehicles. They're being pushed. They're being forced into this, and that never works. If you go back through history, that never works in the long term.
Right. And when subsidies go away, buyers go away too. So
exactly,
I think a lot of manufacturers are still gaming this $7,500 tax credit. When that goes away, or when that changes, as it's likely to do. We'll see where the rubber really hits the road.
Yeah. Jack, what is your website?
I have a bunch of them actually, but drivingtoday.com is where you can find America on the Road, which is the podcast and radio show that I do.
Well, we wanted to put that up there because we love what you have to say. We love being with you on a Saturday, and we sure appreciate, as always, the time that you take and spend with us on a Saturday for you.
I love spending time with you guys. I wish I could do it more often.
Jack, thanks again. Have a wonderful Easter weekend, and we will see you soon.
You too.
All right.
Happy Easter to all of you.
Thank you.
Happy Easter.
And we'd love to hear from you as well. Just shoot us an email. The address here is info@inwheeltime.com. All right. Let us look at some of the stories making automotive news headlines this week, if you don't mind. May we? Do you have something?
I always have something. I just try and do this to back up in between yours.
Well, while we're out on the West Coast, can I just go ahead and give one story?
Go for it.
You? In a quiet San Francisco neighborhood earlier this month, this is from Automotive News.
My son lives in a quiet San Francisco neighborhood.
3 police officers stopped an autonomous vehicle driving with its headlights off and were captured on video trying to communicate with the car, which had no human driver.
Stop! Get out of the car! Put your hands on your head! Back up to me!
The car's owner, General Motors-backed Cruise Automation, has been rolling out its Robo Taxi service in the city since February.
Hilarious.
Doesn't Nancy Pelosi live there?
Yes.
The company said in a tweet that it's been cooperating with law enforcement. Quote, unquote, We work closely with the SFPD on how to interact with our vehicles, including a dedicated phone number for them to call in situations like this, the company said. Cruz later tweeted that the car did as intended by pulling over to the nearest safe location where officers could contact the company, and the vehicle was not issued a citation.
Stop! Get out of the car! Put your hands on the head! Back up to me!
And what was it doing? What was the car doing?
No headlights.
And it had no headlights. Cruz fixed the issue that led to the traffic
That's
stop.
hilarious.
I thought that
is actually
well, we're out on the
hilarious.
left coast. I thought we'd have that story.
So, Toyota Supra is going to put Toyota is going to put a manual in the GR Supra.
Something that they should have done from the
should have
beginning.
done from the beginning, right? So, I thought that was good news. And then Toyota announced that they are going to have a full electric vehicle, small SUV called the Verge. It'll be the first EV to go on sale this spring.
Not the Virgin, but the
Verge,
Verge.
Verge.
Is that Verge?
Verge. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I couldn't pronounce. What was the other word I couldn't pronounce at the beginning?
That was good. That's
I'm
okay.
reading it.
I know.
Toyota is also recalling 460,000 vehicles to fix a software problem that can inadvertently disable the electronic stability control system. The recall covers vehicles from 2020 to 22. Toyota's Venza, RAV4, RAV4 Prime, Sienna Hybrid, Highlander Hybrid, Lexus LS 500, 600, 350, 450H. So lots of recalls.
I had talked to much earlier, weeks ago, about some of these CEOs making stupid money with these car companies. Well,
Mary Bear.
Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares, 2021 pay drew an angry response from some trade unions on Wednesday, days ahead of a French presidential vote fought largely over cost of living concerns. Minority Stellantis shareholder Trust estimated the value of the total compensation package awarded to Carlos at $71 million ahead of the automakers group's first annual general meeting. Group's chairman said Stellantis would take into account the shareholder vote on the 2021 compensation report after it was opposed by 52% of them during a Wednesday meeting. In the U.S., GM CEO Mary Barra earned $23.7 million.
That's because Stellantis is doing better. GM, at least Stellantis is making money. GM is bleeding out the ears.
Oh, out the ears. Yeah. Well, I does anybody ever look at the PR factor in this, the public relations factor?
No.
Wait just a minute. You're telling me that I'm going to spend $50,000 for a new car, and the head of this company
is making $23 million.
Yeah. How fair is that? That ain't right. I'm not going to buy my car from them. I'm going to go over here where they give away their profits to the cats and dogs.
Well, and remember that Mary Bear has had the job since 2009, because she got the job when I got fired, and has been making that kind of money. What do you do with $23 million a year? I'd like to know, but seriously, what do you do with $23 million a year? How do you earn that in what you do? I just don't see a place for it. But I wish I had her job.
Shall we talk about the NFL or MLB?
All of those are the same.
Thank you.
What do you do with $250 million when you're going to be in jail for the rest of your life?
Spend it on lawyers.
I
have no idea. I just figured I'd throw that out there.
Because my mind is doing 150 miles an hour here trying to think.
See, Mars is driving your mind doing 150 miles an hour.
The New York Auto Show has
was a
happened.
flop.
Yep. So highlights include Hyundai EV battery plant being built here in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Jeep Wagoneer family grows with a stretched L model.
Suburban Fighter.
Kia to launch the second-gen Niro in the U.S. this summer, and the EV range increases. Well, hey, the EV range increases. That's where I am, so I don't get stranded here at the house because it doesn't have a charge. Hyundai's 2023 Palisade takes a sportier stance. Well, we needed that. Ram plans to unveil the electric 1500 concept
That was
this year.
pretty cool.
Yeah, and did you see the kind of the shadowy? Yeah, it's like
Pretty zoomy.
Ooh, I'm thinking I'm going to like that. EV maker VinFast sets battery lease pricing. VinFast, VINFAST.
Oh, I know. That's Vin Diesel's brother, except it's an electric vehicle instead of a diesel.
That's what it is. Battery lease pricing in the U.S. So you don't have to go out and spend cash money for a new battery. You can lease the battery.
And pay 4 times what you...
Probably. Fresh in 2023, Subaru Outback gets new fascia and an additional engine option. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 is named the World Car of the Year. Kia Telluride gets off-road boost and a bigger screen. And the 2023 Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek becomes a more rugged package. Those are the highlights from the New York Auto Show. Now you can yawn. You know, the New York Auto Show used to be a big deal. Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
Detroit isn't either.
Well, I will say I did make Detroit and Chicago and Los Angeles while they were big deals. And I always planned on going to New York, but not so much anymore.
Well, Honda is dropping the Insight gasoline-electric hybrid in the U.S. to focus on hybrid versions of 3 core models, the CR-V crossover, and the Accord and Civic. Insight was the first gasoline-electric hybrid sold in the U.S., though it was quickly eclipsed by the Toyota Prius. A redesigned CR-V and Accord, as well as hybrid versions of each, will be introduced this year, adding that it expects hybrids will eventually make up 50% of the sales of each model. Okay, that's it for this segment. We're going to take a quick break, wrap things up. Stay tuned on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Father's Day weekend, Saturday, June 18th, 2022. It's the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, and you're invited. Tailpipes and Tacos Father's Day edition will be at the same Loopy Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. on Saturday, June 18th. It's the only place cruisers compete for trophies and other prizes. Enter your vehicle for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise-in and is your opportunity to see the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, and get Loopy Tortilla breakfast tacos and adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and cars will automatically compete for custom Loopy trophies and other prizes. It all happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Kick off summer with Tailpipes and Tacos Father's Day edition, Saturday, June 18th. The In Real Time Car Talk Show will be there too. Celebrate Father's Day, the start of summer, and the return of Tailpipes and Tacos. Saturday morning, June 18th, 8 to 11. We'll see you then, weather permitting.
Tony Stewart Racing joins the NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series, and his drivers, Leah Pruitt and Matt Hagan, will face off against NHRA stars including the legendary John Force Racing Team. Don't miss this battle of horsepower and performance. It's the final NHRA Spring Nationals event at Houston Raceway Park. Don't miss it, April 22nd through 24th. This is your last chance for nitro action in Baytown. Tickets at HoustonRaceway.com.
Well, guess what? That, my friend, is a wrap for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show on iHeart Radio. When you are on our Facebook page, please give us a like. Tell your friends about us. Share our junk if you would, please. You'll get Conrad's unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive all week long. There'll be some fun stuff in there, too, including upcoming events, cruise-ins, and other goodies. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is on 24/7 on iHeart Radio, both online and through the iHeart app. You can find us at In Wheel Time Car Talk. And despite our ages, we're still having a strong, steady stream. Live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and on InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central. 30-minute podcasts are available from your favorite podcast outlet, too, 7 days a week.
Oh, you kill me.
The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is David Ainsley. Our Marketing Advertising Manager and Video Technical Director is We Need More Jeff Zekin. The Booking Agent and Podcast Editor Mike Out of This World Mars and his Royalty King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. Today's show was produced by Jeff's doctor, Dr. Vinnie Boom Box. Be sure to join us again for our next live In Wheel Time Car Talk Show from the last NHRA Spring Nationals at Houston Raceway Park in Baytown, where we'll bring you the best interviews of the stars of the NHRA. It's next Saturday, April 23rd, starting at 8 a.m. Central Time, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network. So long for now. We'll see you then.